this one? Anybody?
Too tall? It's too tall.
Yes! It's too tall. Exactly. So I want to bring it down, but I don't have to, I have a big set of loppers. I'm just worried that this isn't going to fly, but always make sure your whatever you're working with is sharp.
Did you prune these last year?
Did I?
Uh-huh.
Somebody did, but I didn't.
So they left them too tall last year, or did they
No,
grow that far?
no, they grew that much. This is a grandiflora. It's different from a hybrid tea because it's grand. So it's tall. This whole bed, that whole bed, they're grandifloras. They tend to be taller roses. You see that one that's 7 foot over there? That whole bed are grandifloras. Now, over the years, they've sort of deteriorated. Anybody have Queen Elizabeth in their garden? Well, what can I tell you? It used to be like everybody had that rose. And Queen Elizabeth is the first grandiflora from 1954. And it's very tall. And the point of a grandiflora that I want to make is that if you cut it too low, it's going to spend all year trying to get tall instead of putting out fruit. So what I'm doing here is showing you that if you have a tall rose, it wants to be tall. Don't prune all your roses the same. Okay? If you have short roses, you're going to have a hard time getting that thing up here. Okay? So don't try to get it up there. It wants to be short. If it's a tall rose, don't cut it low like the others. It'll spend all year trying to get tall again. Okay? So, I really would like to cut some more. See, I don't know. I sort of want to finish this rose for somebody. I don't like a lateral that is this long. It just bugs me. I think it's unattractive. And this is just too much. I don't mind leaving one going the wrong direction, but I don't want to lose a lot of them. And this is really,
He's going in.
it's going in. But if you look at where the buds are, it's kind of hard to see them, but the bud is right here. So where is it going to sprout? It's going to go out that way. And what you need to know is the first place that your roses are going to sprout is where you made your cut. So the energy pushes all the way up and goes out the top. So these up here are going to be the first ones to sprout, and then they sprout down. But the important point is that it's going to spread out there, as opposed to right over the center. Somebody see this little tiny stub? Don't do it. If you leave those little stubs, you're going to get all this little teeny frilly growth, which inhibits air circulation, so you get more disease. They don't bloom, so it takes strength away from the rest of the rose. So try to, I don't want to make you nuts, but try to make your garden as neat as your pruning cuts as neat as possible.
And below your cut, below your cut is a stub, and there needs what do you call it? But there's going to be a place where growth comes in.
It's right there.
Yeah, and then the reason you said 9 because there's going to be
No, you can have 9 right off of each one of those buds. I don't know how many ways I can tell you guys. Every place you cut, this sprout can happen 9 times. You cut it off, it'll come back. Cut it off, it'll come back. Until it's just worn out and the growth gets too small. But they just keep pushing. They keep pushing, they keep pushing, they keep pushing. So don't worry about making a bad cut, because it'll probably improve.
How mature is this rose? How mature is this rose?
This is fairly mature. I'm trying to think, is this like 2007? Okay, that means it went in 2006, January of 2006, or maybe. It's been here a long time. But, and you can see that the growth is going gray. See this? They're starting to age. Look at this one here, in fact. See, you see how much younger this one is? You still have color on your thorns. You can see that this lateral off of here, these are from last year. This is 2009. This growth, all this fall stuff, is from last year. This is from last year. It came all the way from the base. This came from the base. This one came from the base, okay? So those are all brand new in 2009. Well, if it becomes non-productive, I mean, you can take it out. You know, I used to always say $10 you can get a new rose. So I think they're maybe more like 15 now. But you know, if it's not producing for you, toss it. Get a new one.
On that one, would you cut out that new growth so you'd open up the center again? Because you talk about opening up
You
the
know,
center.
I know, I like to open up the center when possible. I'm more interested in having great growth. I don't really, can I have you step back? Because I don't want to hit you with my cutting. I'm going to try to cut some of this one just so you can see what I can do to it.
Because these are grandifloras, you're not gonna, you know, I get confused on if it looks like there's some older stalks that are coming up from the base.
Just remember, old stock is like we are, gray.
Yeah.
You know?
Does that mean?
Grayer we get, the less productive we get, and it's the same with rose.
Well, but there's still gray ones over here though.
Yes, well, I'm not telling you to kill them. Just put them in a home.
You said roses up to 50 years?
Oh, 50, 60, 80, you know, that just keep going as long as you treat them well. You know, it's just like old people. Treat them well and they will keep going. If you treat them poorly, they're just going to die off.
Actually, with each progressive year that you prune, the stalks that were old last year just keep getting older, but then the ones that were younger are going to get larger in diameter, and those are the ones you're going to leave on longer as each year when you prune, correct? And finally you would remove the...
Oh, just one person talking at a time. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just don't understand why some of the old ones are being left.
Because I need to leave a certain amount of growth for production, and they're not that old. Remember, these roses have only been in a few years. They're not very old. So even if it's got gray on it, it doesn't mean that it's not productive. Okay? It just means that it's getting older. The cane is at its peak of production for the first 3 to 5 years. Okay, so none of these roses are any older than that. So don't worry about it. Just, you know, don't overthink this.
Just open it up
Just try to
so
make
that the
it.
sun and the air gets to the base.
There you go.
Cut at an angle.
That you would prune about 2/3 of the height of the rose, of any given rose?
Well, not necessarily. It just depends what that rose does. I bring it down to, sorry, I don't want to hit anybody with this stuff. It's more of what I have left over when I'm finished, okay? I'm looking for a certain amount so I know that it's going to have enough bloom, and I'm looking for as much to be younger and productive when I'm finished. Now, we've got this nice section over here. Look at how nice all of this stuff is. I don't like this stuff. All of this looks really good. This side of the plant is not looking so good. So here, you can see when I take this off, this is what I mean by not productive growth. That was a nice looking cane at one time. But you notice the growth that's coming off of it? It's all smaller than a pencil. It's not giving you much. So all it's doing is taking from the plant. So if you leave a lot of this stuff on, you're not going to get a lot of bloom. So.
Yeah. I mean, so what's your? I mean, you seem to be cutting consistently about this far from like where it's branching out. Is that? I mean.
You know, again, it's just what feels good.
Yeah.
Okay. Now.
Instinct.
That's it.
Follow the
I
master.
have canes that are as high as 3 feet. I like to leave different levels so it doesn't look too hard. If you prune a rose flat, it's going to bloom flat, believe me. So you don't want a flat plant in your garden. You want some natural look. So we prune at different levels. I don't like to leave laterals that are much longer than these. You see all these laterals? And I probably have left too many laterals, but it's a grandiflora. Grandifloras tend to send out more laterals than a hybrid tea, and so you can leave a few more.
What about the lateral that's coming off of that main one down there? That's right smack in the center across the middle with the other
I
one.
left it on because it's young and it's heavy. I just can't, in my heart,
Can't do it yet.
cut that
Next
off
year.
because it's going to give us way too much flower. So, and you know what? It doesn't bother me because there's nothing else over here anyway. Now, if you get something that comes out of here, a new cane that comes over there, great. Okay.
Me next.
And you see this one, it's sort of going in all directions. It doesn't always happen that way. Sometimes your roses are up against a wall. They don't want to push that direction. Sometimes they all head right for the sun, which is going to be over here. You know, we can't control them. They're going to do what they want. But we can sort of prune them so we're going to get the best out of them. And that means keeping good air circulation, having the sun be able to get in there, giving you enough length for production without having too much length. Okay? And again, these are young plants. You know, you may have heard me say it, we like to leave 3 to 5 canes on a hybrid tea or even a grandiflora. But when they're young, I leave more. They're still, this is a little bit older, but you see it's still shaking in the ground? That means it just hasn't got a great root system yet. Sometimes you do that and your rose is like, then you know it's got a really good root system. So you want to leave more because the more that's up on top, there's more down below. Okay. Anybody have any questions? Does anybody want to prune? We can use you. We've got Rose Society members and master gardeners and newcomers, everybody. Prune, I'm going to do another demo if anybody needs more instructions.
Climbers now.
Okay, let's see. There's a young lady who's pruning climbers on the other side of the wall. She will help you, but what you want to keep in mind is that hybrid climbers are like big hybrid teas. You still cut off part of the top, like 10 or 15% of the new growth. They bloom at the tips, but after they're finished blooming, the first year, they're going to bloom all the way down the cane. So the more you leave, the more bloom you get. Off of, this is a lateral. You're going to see a lot of these on a climber. And on a climber, you just trim that lateral and leave 3 or 4 buds. Those are all going to bloom. You want to get your canes as horizontal as possible because they're going to bloom horizontally because the sun's going to hit that. It just forces out the growth. So as much as possible, try to get your roses to grow, your climbers to grow like this rather than straight up. Okay? In any case,
Is it okay to bend the canes over?
yep, as long as they're still flexible. You know, when they're young, they're flexible. As they age, they don't want to move. So if in the spring when they're sending out their new canes, you should keep an eye out for it. As they come up, you want to train it to go where you want it because you can do anything with it. Once it hardens off like this, you can see it doesn't want to give. So you can't force it. You'll just break it. Yes. That is the correct answer.
Duck down.
Why? What are you doing here? You're going to arrest us?
Santos said he had no camera, so hey, a ranger's job is never done.
Santos. He's here because I told him I need to talk to
You
him.
have
What did I want to ask?
There was a question about leaves.
Oh yeah, take them off. You really want to take them off because one, you're going to dormant spray. And if you don't, they're going to eventually, before you have new leaves, they're going to get disease on them, which is going to transfer to the new leaves. Okay? This is Strike It Rich. It's an incredibly disease-resistant rose. And all these are because they're newer varieties. The newer the variety in general, the more disease-resistant it is. Older varieties, we had a lot of things to spray on them. We don't have those available to us anymore. So we find that the roses that have come out in about the last 10 years tend to be disease resistant. They're not perfect, but they're much better than they used to be. And so in January, you have foliage that looks like this. Okay? As opposed to, maybe walk along the wall and see some that just have rust all over them and lots and lots of black spot and you're not going to have mildew at this time of year, but all that stuff is down there and all over the plant. If you don't start with a clean plant, you're going to have more disease, more problems earlier in the year. Make sense? Okay,
So
good.
after pruning, when do we fertilize?
Oh, I don't fertilize till March. I want to let them rest.
So let them
Spray the dormant spray.
Spray the dormant spray at least once, twice is better, a week apart, and clean the beds.
And the word on the
clean
all the
All that junk,
all that
get
junk.
it out.
Yeah. And you also spray the ground, right?
Yeah, but get all the junk out before you spray.
Yeah.
And not when it's going to rain.
No, you need to wait. You need a whole day after you sprayed for it to